What's up everybody? A lot of you guys have been asking me how I make my review videos. Specifically I'm talking about my recent Speed RRR review and my RSV4 review. So firstly, thank you for all your support, by the way. I really appreciate all the kind comments. Thank you for saying that you enjoyed those, because it means a lot to me. I spend a lot of time and effort on those. So I figured I would take the time to show you guys what equipment I use and just basically how to do it. How do I make my review videos? How do I get the shots that I'm talking about? And for those of you that aren't familiar with what I'm talking about, I'll just throw in some clips here to show you what I mean. So I'm quickly just going to run through the tools that I use, and you can find links in the description below to all the things that I use. Everything that you need will be in the links in the description. One of the biggest concerns that I hear is cost. Most people are worried about cost because camera equipment isn't cheap, and there's nothing you can really do about that. However, all my videos are made on a budget because before I was made redundant, previously I was a games tester, and some of you may know that that doesn't exactly pay all that well. So all of my equipment is kind of mid-low tier. None of it is godlike. I'm not rocking like a £3,000 DSLR mirrorless body or anything like that. So let's take a look at the equipment, what I have and why I have it and how I use it. So this is my gear stash. Everything you see here is what I take with me to record my reviews. In the back we have a DSLR slider, and the idea being that you mount your DSLR onto the I think it's called the head, and then you mount this to your slider, which then allows you to drag the camera from side to side. These are the feet for the slider. You're going to need 2 tripods, preferably ones that extend. These are Manfrotto tripods. You can do this with just one, but I really wouldn't recommend it. You're going to want 2, and you're going to want 2 tripods that are exactly the same. You can do it with different ones, but believe me, your life will be easier if they're exactly the same. You're also going to need a dick-shaped elastic band. I'm sorry, I don't know why that's... There you go. You're also going to need an elastic band. Bit of a secret method there, but we'll get into that. This is a very small but extendable tripod. The feet come out like so. So the most obvious piece of equipment that you're going to need is a decent SLR. This isn't a terribly expensive camera. When this was brand new, it was £500 with the included kit lens. The kit lens is okay, but it's not what you're going to want to film. The reason you need a reasonably decent SLR, this is a Nikon D5200 by the way, is because you need to have manual control over all of your settings, ISO, depth of field, shutter speed, all that kind of stuff. That's because depth of field is really the effect that we're going for. Now, depth of field is when you have a focal point, for example the camera, and everything behind the camera is blurry. That's depth of field. It's that simple. So what I use to achieve that is this little bad boy. This is a Nifty 50, it's called. It's a small fixed zoom lens. This is what I use exclusively. I never use anything else. So get yourself a decent manual SLR. Again, there's a link to this in the description, and if you want, you can pick up just the body on Amazon. You don't necessarily need the kit lens that comes with it. So if you can find a second-hand one without the lens, that's fine. This is the Manfrotto tripod, and what I like about these is they're extremely easy to use. They just use this little sliding mechanism here, which you can tighten easily. Quick release, so you pull out this little piece underneath here. The idea being that you screw this piece into the base of your SLR, nice and quick. And you drop your SLR into the top of the tripod, and then boom, that's it, mounted, done. They're height adjustable, and it's extremely easy. Ping the clips off, and it extends, and to put it back is also super easy because all the clips are right next to each other. You can just boom, done. The other reason is because it has 2 modes. It has still image and video with this little toggle on the side. If I have video mode enabled, perfect for panning shots. But that isn't the main reason why we have these tripods. The reason we have these tripods is so that we can mount our slider. The slider is the second most crucial part of this process. This is our slider. I think this is 42 inches long, this one. Yeah, that's the idea with that. This is the camera head. This gives you a lot of fine tuning on your angle. Now this unit is what goes onto your slider. And now you're starting to understand how you get those beautiful sliding shots, right? But we're not finished yet. Underneath your slider, you will see a whole bunch of mounting holes. And you remember this bad boy from the tripod goes into these. So with the camera mounted on the head, mounted on the slider, mounted on the tripods, now you're starting to get an idea of how this works. So if I just pop the cover open here, focus is manual. You can see here that the leaves are in focus, and now nothing is in focus. And this is how you achieve the beautiful slider shots. The only problem with a slider like this is a manual slider, which means that it's not motorized. I have to move the camera by myself. The problem is, it's almost impossible as a person to move your hand at a constant speed. You can't do it. So you end up snagging, speeding up, slowing down, speeding up, slowing down, and or a little bit of dust or grit getting stuck in your slider can make the shot jumpy. The way that I alleviate that problem, you can't remove it completely, is with an elastic band. Now normally I would do a much cleaner job than the one I'm doing right now, but you get the idea. The elastic band picks up the tension in the rail and smooths out my failings as a person. It doesn't completely alleviate the problem of the camera snagging, but it certainly makes it better. So you really don't need to spend a fortune to get great results. It's just about learning the proper technique. And we're not even done yet. It takes me hours to record all the shots that I want, because I want to try and be as comprehensive as possible, and I want to have enough shots that when I come to edit the video, if I do voiceover, I'm not going to run out of shots. That's the most annoying thing in the world. But editing is what comes next. Okay, so now I find myself using my editing suite. I happen to use Adobe Premiere Pro, and I'm just going to import the example clips that I captured. Let's go with this one, and I'm just going to mute it so we don't hear any weird background noise and have a quick look at it. So you can see that there's a little bit of wobble, and that happens. There's not really much that you can do about that. You can see the camera kind of jittering up and down just a little bit as the camera pans from side to side. So this is the raw footage. So what I would do with this is I would drag this until I see the camera just about start to move, so kind of there is fine, and then I would do the same at the back so that the clip from start to finish is constantly moving. So you can see it's moving at the beginning, and the clip ends while it's still going. So this is what we're interested in here. This is an effect in Premiere Pro called Warp Stabilizer. Now your mileage may vary, because I have no idea if there's anything like this available for other editing suites. There must be, but I don't know what it's called. But in order to alleviate the unfortunate camera wobble, we're going to be using Warp Stabilizer. So what this does is it goes through the entire clip, frame by frame, and it reads the first frame, so the previous frame, the current frame, and the upcoming frame. It looks at the pixel locations and the colors and stuff, and it matches what's in frame 1 with frame 2 and frame 3 to attempt to create smooth motion. Doesn't always work, and if it doesn't, then you have to tweak the settings a little, but I'm just going to leave this to do its thing, and I'll come back to you in a second. Okay, so it's just about to finish, and now it's going to apply the stabilization. You may notice that it zooms in slightly when it's finished, so keep an eye on something near the edge of the screen, like the rear disc or something like that. Okay, it did a tiny bit. To record the shot and to have a nice, smooth, sliding video like this is achievable for everybody. Especially when you have effects like Warp Stabilizer, which is free. It comes with Premiere Pro. Premiere Pro itself is not free, obviously. That's another expense that you have to go ahead and pick up. But there you have it, guys, and that is your end result. A beautiful, smooth, sliding shot that can just elevate your content to the next level. But as usual, I've been Smo, you guys have been awesome. Peace.
This will be a test of the emergency broadcast system. No, just kidding. I'm out testing my new windscreen, or the windscreen I modified yet again. This is phase 3. Third time I've cut down the factory windscreen. As you can see, it's a good deal shorter than it ever was.